Whippa. She was highly intoxicated and unresponsive, and she created a fire in the hotel room while cooking. The fire department evacuated and then found that a 3-year-old female child in Jones's care was unsupervised and running throughout the hotel. Jones was placed under arrest and is lodged in the Beaver County Jail, and she faces charges for endangering the welfare of children and disorderly conduct causing a hazardous condition. Sheetz has been recognized by Fortune and Great Place to Work as their second best place to work in retail in the USA. The popular convenience store in Western PA has been ranked on Fortune's list for the 9th consecutive year, and this year's ranking is their highest ever. Sheetz is featured on a list of companies that Fortune highlights thanks to their business success and respect to both their employees and their communities. The final year of the Logstown Associates Historical Society Native American Gathering will take place at the Community College of Beaver County on October 12th and 13th. After 35 years, organizer Jeff Jones has confirmed that lack of funds led to the decision to stop the annual gathering. The event pays tribute to Logstown, an 18th century Native American village in modern-day Beaver County that led to westward expansion from treaties and conferences. The gathering involved 2 days for crafts, Native American dancing, and a demonstration of corn husk doll making last year. Electric buses are becoming more prominent in Pennsylvania. Here's Danielle Smith with more.
High Spire District received funding to purchase 6 electric buses with chargers and charging infrastructure for each bus. Jenna Condren with the district says kids tell her the electric buses are quieter and calmer. Condren sees them as a financial investment that affects the school district, community, and taxpayers.
Hiring bus drivers and having to fix the buses and having new updated buses eventually would need taxes. Those taxes trickle down to the parents. So being able to do something like this with the solar helps with some of that because there are so many grants out there. So not only is it a plus for the school, but in the long run, it could be a plus for the taxpayers as well.
Pennsylvania now has more than 250 electric school buses, but Stilton High Spire is the only school district in the state with 100% of its bus fleet electrified. And the entire district is powered by 100% solar energy.
Beaver County Radio News correspondent Sandy Giordano reports that Eugene Jean Karmazin, 88, of Hopewell Township, a retired Aliquippa teacher, has passed away on Thursday, September 12th of 2024. After retiring from the Aliquippa School District in 2003, Eugene taught drama, was a play director, and was in charge of the class of 1966's commencement program. According to the family, a banner will be placed at the Black Box Theater in his honor, and the family told Sandy Giordano that a plaque will be placed outside the theater as well, and the theater will also now be renamed the Gene Karmazin Black Box Theater. This newscast is brought to you by J&J Spratt Funeral Home.
Here's the Beaver County forecast.
We'll see lots of sunshine today with a high near 83. Mostly clear tonight will drop down to a low around 57. Sunshine again tomorrow. Look for a high of 85 and an overnight low of 59. Another beautiful sunny day expected on Sunday. We'll reach a high of 84 and a low around 60. And the stretch of summer-like weather continues into Monday. We'll have sunny skies, a high near 82 and a low of 58. I'm Lisa Marie with your Beaver County weather.
On this Friday, September the 13th of 2024 at 10 minutes after 9, we've got a temperature of 65 degrees currently in Beaver County. That's a look at the news for now. I am Noah Haswell on 99.3 FM and AM 1230 WBVP, also streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
Teleforum is on the air on Beaver County Radio, 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP. The show is presented by East Rochester and Tuska Shop and Saves. And now, here is the host of the show, Eddie Crow.
It is Teleforum, one of my favorite days of the month. Larry Kelly is my guest. Larry Kelly of the law group Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly, and George. And very seldom, if ever, do we talk lawyer stuff. I try. But you end up talking life and schooling us up way more than lawyer stuff. Here's my question for you to start with. Ready?
I'm ready.
You superstitious? Today's Friday the 13th.
No, I wore number 13 one year, my
Did you
baseball
really?
number, because Dave Concepcion wore it. He was the shortstop for the Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah.
And I was a shortstop, so I kind of liked that number. So, no, not really. But do I have idiosyncrasies?
Okay, we're going to come down to
Yes.
definition, aren't
Yes.
we?
Yes.
This is being live streamed on Facebook, so when Larry starts talking about, no, I'm not superstitious, but watch his facial expressions. You were an athlete, your coach. Athletes are superstitious, okay? You know this. How did you dodge it?
Especially baseball players, and that was kind of my sport. So, we had some issues. Yeah, yeah, we do.
I'm going to tell you a baseball superstition, and I bet you did it. You don't step on the chalk line going out.
Never.
There you go,
I don't
buddy.
know why, but I don't do it.
Left foot or right foot crossing the chalk line, the fair foul line.
I don't, but when I played shortstop, in whether I was going to the third base dugout or the first base dugout, if I was going to the third base dugout, I always stepped on the third base bag, and of course, if I was going to the first base dugout, I always stepped on the first base bag.
You didn't step it on the edge, though, did you? You put your foot right in the middle
Right
of
in the
it.
middle,
There you
because I
go.
was trying to, create that vision that when I'm up this inning, I'm going to be on base.
I'm warming it up for my foot. I'll be back.
I'll be back.
So why do you think that is? Why do you think human beings, when they can't sort something out logically, they start looking for other reasons?
That's a great question for somebody way smarter than me.
But we do. The scene from Bull Durham. Rose goes in the front, big guy.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Baseball players, we do. We're worse than everybody else. Maybe because the game moves so slowly, an inch at a time, but that's what makes it so great, because when the pressure gets so high, you can't spit. The one thing you need to conquer is your mind, because nothing's really happening right now. I used to tell my team then and now, you want to be successful, you got to be laser focused and mentally tough. You can't let those thoughts of a bad play get into your head.
You've got to be intensely focused 1 minute, but
Laser focused.
you've got, well, hang on a second. How do you teach a kid or somebody like me that's got the attention span of a 5-year-old? There is, I don't want to say it's downtime, because if the game's being played, it's not downtime.
You're thinking while you're not moving, yes.
How do you get a kid to learn to keep thinking before he has to move?
It's learned behavior. Laser focus is a learned behavior. Mental toughness is a learned behavior. You got to practice it. You got to train your mind just like you train your body. I tell kids that all the time. You got to train your mind. You got to train your mind. And then, once the play happens, you can't think of anything, right? They hit that ball to third base. I played third base in college. The longest throw in the infield is from third base to first.
I know.
And if you think more about, you got to just let it go. If you're thinking about it, then it becomes Steve Sachs disease. You remember he played for the Dodgers.
Absolutely, and couldn't throw the ball.
He was an all-star. He couldn't throw the ball from second base to first base. It's about a 30-foot toss. Can't let it get between your ears. But you can't be brain dead out there either. So it's a delicate balance, as my father used to say.
How often do you think you apply what you learned mentally with sport to your job as a lawyer?
Almost every day.
Every day.
Almost every day. Look, in a trial especially, it doesn't always go your way. There's highs and lows. You don't win 100-0. But you got to stay focused, and you can't get too high when a witness gets off the stand and you just destroyed him on cross-examination, and you can't get too low if you put your witness up there and it didn't necessarily go well, and you learn that through experience. I've as I like to tell my clients, I've seen the movie before. I know how it ends. I've been doing this 40 years. And, not all clients are in agreement. That's okay. I fired a few clients last week,
Did you really?
Oh, yeah.
How do you do that? You're basically saying,
you need another lawyer. I don't like having gray hair, but I've earned it. I've been doing this 40 years. I've tried over 100 cases. I've seen your case alone 500 times. If you don't want to follow my advice, then you should get another lawyer. I'm okay with that. I still have enough clients.
I'm going to ask you a question that's none of my business. When you fire someone, is it because more typically the client is problematic, or does a problem come up with the case that you didn't know about?
No, it's normally we can't see eye to eye. Professional relationships are based on trust, whether it's doctor-patient, lawyer-client. If you have lost trust in me, then you should go elsewhere. And I'm not saying it's your fault. Maybe it's my fault. Maybe I didn't make myself clear on what we were doing and why we were doing it. But again, my job is to give you the benefit of my 40 years experience in probably the 10,000 cases. We've had 10,000 cases at Luxembourg, Garbutt, Kelly, and George, 10,000 clients in the last 20 years. And my job is to give you the benefit of that experience. And once I do that, you have to make decisions. And if you don't trust what I'm telling you, then you should move on. I'm okay with that.
If somebody loses trust in you as a lawyer, they should move on. Was there ever a time where you lost trust in a client?
That's a good question also. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. But my job, it's like coaching up a team. My job is to make sure, I've been through this 10,000 times. This is your first rodeo. My job is to make sure that you could be the best
asset.
Well, no, the best that you can be, the best example of yourself, and that's my job. My job is to coach you up. And, if it goes bad, it's on me. I never blame the client. If it goes bad, it's on me. I'll accept full responsibility.
It's telephone. I love listening to you explain stuff. I feel so much smarter every time you visit. Larry Kelly, Law Group, Luxembourg, Garbutt, Kelly, and George, LGKG.com. How much prep do you put in before you go and know you're going to get questioned? I'm sorry, I should clarify. Not by the police. We were talking off the air, and I'm not going to get into the political side of it, but your job in court is you in a sense, are a professional debater.
I'll have 100 hours of preparation before I ever start a trial. 100, maybe more. But once I prepare, I don't want to be scripted, okay? I have a script, but it's a skeleton of what I'm thinking and what I want to do.
Like bullet points?
Bullet points,
okay.
Right. I have 100 hours of preparation, but I don't want to be scripted. And as a young lawyer, too often you're too scripted. I've learned through my experience, that I'm at my best when I'm prepared, because I've prepared 100 hours. I have an outline that I will rely on, but I don't write out every question.
You don't write? Okay. Is that different now than it was when you started?
Yeah.
Were you over-scripted when you started?
I was over-scripted, as a young lawyer. Again, I've tried over 100 jury trials. People say, that's not a lot. That's not a lot. Most lawyers, less than 10%, have tried 10 in their whole career. Yeah. You know what I mean? I tried a case 2 months after I got my law license, a jury trial. I prepared 100 hours. The trial lasted 3 days, and the jury was out 3 minutes and come back and told me I lost. So, again.
You've told me that story before, and that one stuck with you, didn't it?
Sure.
It comes back.
But then I went about 10 years before I lost again. So you learn. I used to tell my teams, you don't win or lose. You either win or you learn. If you don't learn, then you lose. And again, I'm not so sure F. Lee Bailey could have won that case that I had, but I learned a few things that allowed me to be a better lawyer the next time through.
Why did you lose the case? Did you pick the case, or were you appointed?
The facts are the facts,
right?
You know what I mean? And
maybe
I was a little too overzealous in my opening argument, and maybe I beat up the prosecution witnesses a little too much. So you learn. Or maybe I could have been the best lawyer in the world, and I was still going to lose because the facts are the facts. This was a woman who forged a marriage certificate so her son could marry a girl who was about, 16 years old.
And, so it was forgery.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Did you know that going in?
Oh, yeah,
You prepared 100 hours for a case that you suspected, we're toast.
I didn't know we were toast, but, my job is to make sure that the prosecution can prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. And my job is to, make sure that my client gets a fair trial and to advocate with all my abilities to make sure that happens.
Is there ever a time, we're talking about preparation, and I love your answer. Yeah, you got to be prepared, but you've got to be able to say it, not read it, is what I heard.
Correct,
right?
Yes. Can't be scripted.
Is there ever a time where you think, I'm pretty good on that, I'll just wing it? Because that's the opposite of preparation.
No, you can't. I am now president of the Pennsylvania Association for Justice, formerly known as the Pennsylvania Trial Lawyers Association. There are 2,000 members in this organization, so I'm proud to hold this position. They're lawyers from all over the state of Pennsylvania. So I had to give a speech, right, when I got inducted or elevated to the office of the president. And the speech was about 12 minutes and no notes. And somebody said, oh, my God, you did that without any notes, But what they didn't know is I probably prepared 20 hours before that was going to happen.
Did you also prepare, when you're preparing and getting what you want to say, are you practicing saying it?
I did a couple times.
You're doing some pre-reads.
Driving back and forth to work. I write it out, get my thoughts together, put it logically together, and then take it bit by bit and, maybe going to work, coming back from work, try to get the words together so that they, I'm not searching for words at the time that I'm doing it. And maybe the day or before I went outside on the balcony and did the whole thing, and I was ready. Listen, I don't have a lot of gifts, Eddie.
Yeah.
But God gave me that one. God gave me the ability to speak and move people and motivate people, and that's been very beneficial to me as a lawyer, and I try to use that gift for the benefit of others, not for my own benefit, but every time I speak, and I'm asked to speak often, I want to make sure I'm using it for the benefit of others.
How did you avoid, you do have that talent, and you have that talent, and you've seen this in sports, guys that are naturally gifted.
Yeah, they have the gift.
They don't have to work as hard. With your gift, what kept you working hard?
Well, you have pride in your performance. You want to be excellent. I always wanted to be the best version of myself, to be the best that I could be. And I know that that takes time. Now, do I have to spend as much time preparing for a trial now as I did 40 years ago? No. There are certain things that, because of my experience, I don't have to. What used to take me maybe a half hour or an hour to get ready for an objection or something, looking up the case law, it takes me 10 minutes because I've seen the movie. I know how it ends. I know where to look. I have it down.
How much more fun is your job now that you don't have to go to a law library and pull out a 10-pound book?
It's amazing. You sit in front of your computer and bang. Yeah, it's a little different world. I used to have 25 books opened up on a conference table and, looking at certain things, making paper copies of cases. And
How long were those books good for? Because laws change.
Well, you would get a new book every month. That's why the law library had 200 books in it. And, and I know this, at Luxembourg, Garber, Kelly, and George, I learned early on that until you know what the law is, you really don't even know what facts are important. I've won cases and I've lost cases. But, I believe that I've never been out-lawyered, ever. At LGKG, we know the law. No lawyer has ever known the law better than we know it. And nobody has ever known the facts better than we've known them at LGKG. And that's what's led to our success, in the ability to articulate the facts and the law when you need to make an objection, I think is what you're buying when you come to LGKG. That experience is working to your benefit.
LGKG.com. Larry Kelly is my guest. Noah Haswell next with news on Teleforum on Beaver County Radio.
Beaver County Radio proudly welcomes Fry Transportation to their family. You're listening to 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP, live from the all-new Fry Transportation Studios.
Listen to Beaver County Radio every Monday and Friday in the 11 o'clock hour for the Beaver County Humane Society's Pick of the Litter. We'll be highlighting one resident animal from the shelter that needs a loving home. Pick of the Litter is brought to you each and every Monday and Friday by Tom Sipes Demolition, Nally Elias and Associates, Falcone's Moon Township Ford, Albert's Heating and Cooling, Freedom United Federal Credit Union, and Beaver County Radio. Check out the Pick of the Litter on our website at beavercountyradio.com.
Tune in to Beaver County Radio after the Friday night football game for the 35th anniversary season of Falcone's Moon Township Ford Wrap-Up Show. Beaver County Radio's Bruce Fry and Ryan Garazunis will have the scores, standings, and any news from the games. They will also take your phone calls so you can talk about your favorite team. The Falcone's Moon Township Ford Wrap-Up Show is being brought to you by Carver Construction, the St. Barnabas Health System, Beaver County Career and Technology Center, Falcone's Moon Township Ford, the YMCA, the Beaver Falls Municipal Authority, Patriot Home Care, Keystone Wellness Program, Fry Transportation Group, Freedom United Federal Credit Union, the Community College of Beaver County, Friendly Federal Credit Union, Fat Boy Cigars, Geneva College, and Beaver County Radio. Join Beaver County Radio on September 14th at Green Valley Park from noon till 2 for a day of fun and fireworks at the New Swickley Township Community Day and Fall Festival all in one. There will be fun for all ages with bounce houses, a petting zoo, train rides, first responders, fire trucks, and more. Enjoy several food trucks, raffle baskets, and Trace Ladd's Band performing from 4:30 to 7:30. There will be free shuttle parking at the Big Knob Grange from 1 to 8:30. Join Beaver County Radio from noon to 2 at the New Swickley Township Community Day and Fall Fest with activities and fun happening all day long at Green Valley Park.
We have Art Cornell here from the Beaver Cemetery and Mausoleum. Art, I see the Heritage Area is now available. What is that?
These are sections that are part of the original cemetery design of more than 150 years ago and are known as the old sections. Currently, we have 65 additional cemetery plots we have reconfigured and named the Heritage Section in the area that most people see when traveling on 3rd Street.
Thanks, Art. Beaver Cemetery and Mausoleum, serving all of Beaver County since 1865. Buffalo Street, Beaver.
Football season is here, and East Rochester and Tuska Shop and Save is your tailgate headquarters. With all the food and beverages you need to make your tailgates and game day parties the best in town, fire up the grill with their top quality meats, delicious burgers, hot dogs, and chicken wings. Get your cheese and meat platters, dips, and all your game day snacks. Check out their wide variety of wines and the beer cave. Don't miss out on amazing weekly specials and save money at the pump with every dollar you spend. Stop by your Shop and Save at the Tuska Plaza or East Rochester today for everything you need this football season.
Beaver County Radio's news source, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
Good morning. I am Noah Haswell here on 99.3 FM and AM 1230 WBVP. We can expect sunny skies today with a high near 84 degrees. We will have a complete Beaver County radio weather forecast after we take this look at news. The Beaver County Commissioners were met with both questions and concerns regarding the consideration of buying the former Beaver County Times building in Beaver at their Thursday morning work session. County Controller Maria Longo and Treasurer Sandy Egley were two notable officials that voiced their concerns, and Longo has stated that there is a conflict of interest in the deal and with the assessment appeals. Under the new assessment, the building was valued at $3 million. The estimated cost if the county pursued the purchase of the building would be $2.8 million. Discussions are in place between the commissioners and building owners Michael Coleman and Joe Ascar to purchase the building for document storage, among other things. And according to documents provided to Beaver County Radio, Coleman and Ascar paid $675,000 for the building in May of 2023. Controller Longo is asking for due diligence and a fair process for taxpayers from the commissioners. The former Times building, located at 400 Fair Avenue in Bridgewater, was the home of the newspaper from the early 1940s through 2019. The Center Township Fire Department was dispatched to My Place Hotel for reports of a microwave on fire on Monday. The fire department requested the police department for assistance with a highly intoxicated female identified as Donisha Jones of Aliquippa that had created a fire in the hotel room while cooking. After the fire department evacuated, they found that a 3-year-old female child in Jones's care was unsupervised and running throughout the hotel. Jones was placed under arrest and is lodged in the Beaver County Jail and faces charges for endangering the welfare of children and disorderly conduct causing a hazardous condition. Sheetz has been recognized by Fortune and Great Place to Work as their second best place to work in retail in the USA. The popular convenience store in Western PA has been ranked on Fortune's list for the 9th consecutive year, and this year's ranking is their highest ever, as Sheetz is featured on a list of companies that Fortune highlights thanks to their business success and respect to both their employees and their communities. The final year of the Logstown Associates Historical Society Native American Gathering will take place at the Community College of Beaver County on October 12th and 13th. After 35 years, organizer Jeff Jones has confirmed that lack of funds led to the decision to stop the annual gathering. The event pays tribute to Logstown, an 18th century Native American village in modern-day Beaver County that led to westward expansion from treaties and conferences. The gathering involved 2 days for crafts, Native American dancing, and a demonstration of corn husk doll making last year. Electric buses are now becoming more prominent here in Pennsylvania. Here's Danielle Smith with more.
High Spire District received funding to purchase 6 electric buses with chargers and charging infrastructure for each bus. Jenna Condren with the district says kids tell her the electric buses are quieter and calmer. Condren sees them as a financial investment that affects the school district, community, and taxpayers.
Hiring bus drivers and having to fix the buses and having new updated buses eventually would need taxes. Those taxes trickle down to the parents. So being able to do something like this with the solar helps with some of that because there are so many grants out there. So not only is it a plus for the school, but in the long run, it could be a plus for the taxpayers as well.
Pennsylvania now has more than 250 electric school buses, but Stilton High Spire is the only school district in the state with 100% of its bus fleet electrified. And the entire district is powered by 100% solar energy.
Beaver County Radio News correspondent Sandy Giordano reports that Eugene Jean Karmazin, 88, of Hopewell Township, a retired Aliquippa teacher, has passed away on Thursday, September the 12th of 2024. After retiring from the Aliquippa School District in 2003, Eugene taught drama, was a play director, and was in charge of the class of 1966's commencement program. According to the family, a banner will be placed in the Black Box Theater in his honor, and the family has informed to Sandy Giordano that a plaque will be placed outside the theater as well, and the theater will now be renamed the Jean Karmazin Black Box Theater.
Here's the Beaver County forecast.
We'll see lots of sunshine today with a high near 83. Mostly clear tonight, will drop down to a low around 57. Sunshine again tomorrow. Look for a high of 85 and an overnight low of 59. Another beautiful sunny day expected on Sunday. We'll reach a high of 84 and a low around 60. And the stretch of summer-like weather continues into Monday. We'll have sunny skies, a high near 82 and a low of 58. I'm Lisa Marie with your Beaver County weather.
On this Friday, September the 13th of 2024, at 35 minutes after 9, we've got a temperature of 67 degrees currently in Beaver County. That's news. I'm Noah Haswell on 99.3 FM and AM 1230 WBVP, also streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
Teleforum is on the air on Beaver County Radio, 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP. The show is presented by East Rochester and Tusca Shop and Saves. And now, here is the host of the show, Eddie Crow.
It is, in fact, Teleforum. It's Friday the 13th, but my guest says he's not superstitious. It's idiosyncrasies.
Idiosyncratic.
Idiosyncratic. Well, no, you you don't struggle with your. And I knew you were full of hooey. Larry Kelly, Law Group Luxembourg, Garber Kelly, and George. I've never been around an athlete, especially a baseball player. You know who's worse?
Who?
I got one group.
Go ahead.
A subgroup. Kickers and goalies.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
As far as...
I see some of the histrionics that goalies go through as they're in net. And kickers, you guys are all nuts. So, right. How about my man, Chris, the Steelers kicker?
Whoever picked him. Well, I like the Steelers. I don't know about... I want to say Fuamatu Maapala, but it's not that.
I call him Opie Taylor, but man, my man just drills them.
Kickers,
6 of them.
Baby. If you had him in fantasy football...
You got a bunch of points.
When a kicker, much like life, kickers don't save the world that often.
Yeah.
But if you had him, Boswell.
Yeah, Chris Boswell.
The Wizard
right.
of Boz.
Yeah.
Which we're old enough to remember when that really wasn't a particularly good nickname because another guy from Oklahoma?
Maybe.
Brian Bosworth? You don't remember Brian Bosworth?
Yeah, I remember him. Yeah, but he was all talk. The cat wasn't as tough as he pretended to be. I remember Bo Jackson sticking his shoulder in his chest and just running him over.
Blew up his shoulder.
Yeah.
And, suffered injuries. Do you remember, we're talking about athletes and me versus we, and we're talking about preparation and planning versus winging it. Brian Bosworth was suspended for a bowl game. He came out with the captains, and he had a shirt made up that said NCAA, no class at all, welcome to Russia.
Oh, my.
You remember that? That was before,
I don't remember that.
Before the
No.
Seahawks draft.
I don't remember that.
You know what he's doing now? I don't know if you know when you pay attention to college sports, right?
Yeah.
You know all those Dr. Pepper commercials?
Yeah.
You know the sheriff in all those Dr. Pepper?
It's him.
That's Brian Bosworth.
Oh, wow.
So you feel good. He came back.
Oh, he
from
was
the
quite an
abyss.
actor.
Yes.
Self-promoter, did a pretty good job.
Yeah. He is the sheriff in those Dr. Pepper commercials now.
I thought you'd be in that gig, Eddie.
What
You'd
gig?
be perfect. The sheriff in the Dr. Pepper commercials.
No. Look at my face. This is a radio studio. You're not connecting the two, are you? What would you do? You just, for whatever reason, get a wild hair and say, I'm not lawyering anymore. Would you go do something else? We're talking about reviving or creating different careers.
I love writing.
Yeah.
You know, it's my first love. I wrote for the local newspaper, the Newcastle News. They still let me write columns.
What did you write before?
I was a sports writer.
Oh, you were a sports rat.
I was an English teacher that couldn't get a job, so I took a job with the local newspaper, and I was a sports writer. In fact, I wrote a column for the Newcastle News today. They invite me to do it. And it's called Oneness, and it's basically about living in a small town and why that's so special.
Why is it special?
It's community. You have a lot of people out there caring for you, looking after you. And, when you live in a small town, we had a young kid that I coached in high school 2 years ago. He died. He's an 11th grader. And when that happens and you live in a small town, the community support is overwhelming. When you hurt, they hurt. The neighborhood looks after you and you look after others. And, there's something beautiful about that, I think.
Is it less now than it used to be? Or is it still holding on, but only in small towns?
Oh, it's certainly less now than it used to be. Yeah. Even in small towns, I think. I grew up in a neighborhood, where you walked to school with your buddies. You picked up your buddies. There was a route that you went every day. The neighbors, as I think back on my neighborhood, Mrs. Chirby made pizza on like Thursdays, and Mrs. Walzak made pierogies on Fridays, and my mother made Syrian bread on Wednesdays, and it wasn't unusual that you would find yourself at the dinner table of your neighbor's home. It was a beautiful time.
And everybody knew everybody, and everybody's mama knew everybody's mama, and You didn't try anything away from home that you wouldn't have tried at home, did you?
No. You get reported, and if you did, it wasn't a pretty sight when you got home. Oh man, I have a few of those stories. But
weren't those even worse? Because not only did you do whatever you did it in front of a neighbor, and now they're going to be nebby about it. Didn't the embarrassment factor kick in?
No,
you
embarrass your family, and then you had to answer for that, and that was never good.
No.
That was never good. But yeah, so when you grow up in a small town and, you have mentors and family who look after you, who make sure you're doing what you should be doing, and people that you can emulate, I think it leads in part to your success.
Which is going away more quickly. You said there's less in small towns of what you're talking about.
Well,
which is going away more quickly.
Nobody lives in small towns anymore. Think about it. I have 4 daughters.
Yeah.
3 of whom are lawyers. One's a doctor. They don't live in Newcastle. They don't live in Beaver Falls, where we all grew up. They live in Pittsburgh. They live in big cities, and that's kind of where it's going. Is that to be
central, or is that because they prefer the urban environment?
I just think that's kind of where it ends up. You know what I mean? And there aren't as many blue-collar jobs in small towns as there used to be. In Newcastle, half the city worked at Rockwell, and Beaver Falls at B&W. There were medical professionals that were in town that didn't have to go work for UPMC. They could lawyers who can hang their own shingle. You don't have as much of that anymore.
And that's just because less people?
Less people, less jobs, less opportunity. Yeah, it's kind of, sad. But the column that I wrote, and you can find it on the Newcastle News website, basically was about what it meant to me and how it helped me develop in my career and so many others, And when you grew up in Beaver Falls and Aliquippa and Newcastle and New Brighton and these river towns, right? Mm-hmm. You had a certain swagger about you. You did. You thought you were the best. And, that was
Wait. Yeah, you thought you were the best when you'd be talking to a buddy from a different river town, or all river town kids said, "Nah, we're good"?
No, everybody had the same swagger.
Okay.
It was something about living in Western Pennsylvania, and it's probably true of all Western Pennsylvania towns. We were told we were the best, and whatever we did, we then believed we were the best, and hence we became the best. And you think about the success, not only locally, but nationally, that's come out of Western Pennsylvania. It is inordinate, the amount of people, for the small population that we still have in Western Pennsylvania, who have gained national acclaim,
Why
in all facets.
Yeah, right. I think of Aliquippa football. I think of all the NFL Hall of Famers. I think of Francona's with
Terry
baseball.
Francona.
I think of Michael Keaton and Jeff Goldblum with acting. I think of Andy Warhol with art.
There you go.
That's all out of here. Why do you think that is?
Again, I think it's kind of
the Rivertown swagger.
It's where we grew up.
And, I don't know if Andy Warhol had a swagger.
Most of these towns were immigrants.
True.
My grandparents came from Syria.
Yeah.
My neighbors on one side were Italian. They were Italian immigrants. To the other side, they were Polish. They were Polish immigrants. We had Greeks that live across the street. Their grandparents were immigrants, the people my age. They worked hard. You can learn everything you needed to learn about obtaining success by watching the simple eloquence of your parents' and grandparents' example. And then they told you could be anything you want. And then they told you how good you were. And hence you became what they told you you could be. At least that's the way it worked in my family.
That's the way it worked in your family. But there are families that aren't like that. How did you deal with that? And how did you deal with that as a coach? Because not every kid's coming from the same background.
No. And
you're asking for uniformity as a coach.
That's my job as a coach, to mentor young men. I told the people when I interviewed for the head coaching job, look, My job is to mentor young men. I believe that a varsity coach is the bridge that a young man crosses between adolescence and adulthood. And my job is to teach him some life lessons that will allow him to be successful when he crosses that bridge. And if I win a few games along the way, I've done my job.
You know this, and I know this. You can be the greatest mentor in the world, but if you go 0-12, you're not going to have that job.
Probably not.
Where did the balance change, or did it ever change? There were always examples.
Oh,
of
you
both.
got to have good players, Eddie. You know that.
Yeah.
You can't win without them. But if you take good players and again, you develop the mental toughness and the laser focus that, again, is learned behavior. If you train their minds as much as you train their bodies, then they're going to reach their highest potential. And at the same time, mental toughness, laser focus. How do you think that plays when you get into the real world? Pretty well, I'd say. But listen, sometimes those lessons are tough. There were some people where I coached thought I was too tough.
Is that worse now? And that was going to be my next question. Larry Kelly is my guest. Law Group, Luxembourg, Garber, Kelly, and George, LGKG.com. But we're talking about life lessons in coaching. Are helicopter parents more prevalent now than they were when you started coaching?
Oh, absolutely.
Are they?
You know, not too many of them bothered me. And none of them ever came up to me and said, hey, coach, let's chat. Not once. And maybe I intimidated them. Maybe it was my position in the community, but they would,
You've never had a mom come up and say, my son's hitting 800. No, he had seven foul balls and struck out.
No, it didn't happen.
No?
But, they would go and complain maybe to the principal. Coach Kelly said, if you don't come and play fall baseball, you're probably not going to play in the spring. Because I'm gonna reward those people who are committed to the program.
Yeah, laser focus. When you can get better, you get better.
Right.
You try.
Right. So, but that's the kind of the way it works in the world that we live in today.
How deluded, maybe that's too harsh a word. How naive is the younger generation to how the world works today when we're talking about laser focus and basic stuff like showing your butt up on time?
Well, listen to me. I tell my kids, show up and work hard. Mm-hmm. Some people think that's a given. But just showing up is more than half the battle. People don't show up.
Show up on time.
They don't show up. No. They don't come to work. Yeah. I don't know. I might have missed, 3 days of work in 40 years. And it's only because I was so sick, I couldn't get off the couch, one of those things. Mm-hmm. And then work hard. Give me your best effort. Show up and work hard. I think if you do that, you got a pretty good chance of being successful. Clients at LGKG, we can't guarantee results. And I tell them that, only effort. I'm going to show up every day, and I'm going to work hard on your case. And if we do that, there's a pretty good chance we're going to be successful. But I'm not clairvoyant. I can't guarantee results, only effort.
Why do you think more people don't show up? Because as a kid, my dad he had a job and he was in charge of other people. I don't remember him too often complaining about people just not showing up at work. When did it become so difficult to get somewhere on time in a consistent manner?
It's learned behavior, Eddie. It's mental toughness.
But
I remember I used to wake up in the morning and say, I'm in junior high school, let's say, Mom, I don't feel real good.
Oh, my stomach.
She would fill my head. There's nothing wrong with you. Put your clothes on and go to school. That's the way I was brought. My mom was a tough cookie, buddy. Jorah Kelly was tough. You weren't allowed to get sick. Ma, I think I need an aspirin. There's nothing wrong with you. You don't need an aspirin. Get up and go to school.
Did she ever send you to school and you actually had malaria or something?
Probably.
Did she?
Probably. But you toughed it up, man.
And what was the old thinking back then? Well, if Larry's got it, his buddies are going to get it anyway. Might as well just like the old sleepover to give everybody the measles.
The chicken pox, yeah.
The chicken pox, that's exactly right.
I mean, that's the world I grew up in. And, you might not appreciate it as a young person that your parents are tough on you. You might not appreciate it that your coach was tough on you. But I guess maybe 20 years later, you really have an appreciation for that. You got it. Mental toughness, laser focus is a learned behavior. And, that's why at LGKG, I hire athletes. I want people who are mentally tough and laser focused. Almost everybody that's ever worked for our firm has been an athlete, a former athlete, including my daughters.
What did they play? I'm going to guess.
Basketball,
I was
high
gonna
school.
say, really?
Yeah.
It should be required you play well, you know where it is required? You know where intramurals are absolutely mandatory
Where?
in college? West Point.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. Is there a better institution to teach leadership than West Point? I don't think so.
Well, the Air
think
Force
so.
would argue Colorado Springs, but, you know.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean. The military academies. Absolutely.
What did I ask you what did I not ask you that I should have? I know when you come in, it doesn't sound like it, but I have grown-up questions, and we just get to shoot in the breeze, and it all goes to crud.
I love talking to you, Eddie. You're the best at what you do. And, again, you know, we were talking about preparation. You know, when I'm in a trial, I'll have 100 hours of preparation, but it can't be scripted. You got to be yourself. You know what I'm saying? And what do they say? You either prepare to win or prepare to fail. There was an old saying that
if you don't prepare to win, you're preparing to fail.
Something to that extent. Yeah.
I don't know. They yelled that after I heard "take another lap."
Yeah. Well, and you know, championships are won in the gym. You know, before the crowd, before the fans show up. I mean, there's a million of those, and that's true. As a trial lawyer, cases won in my conference room when there's 10 books open.
Do you know when that
10
happens?
files folders open.
Is there an aha moment? We're going, yep, we're going to win. Just saw this.
I remember one time in a medical malpractice case, I was doing the closing argument the next day, and I'm looking through a stack of medical records that's a foot high, and it's about midnight, and I'm sitting at my kitchen table, and at that moment, I saw something in that medical record that was the linchpin to my case. And it was the last thing I did. It was 100 hours plus 1 minute of preparation. It was that last minute of preparation. I remember I had a headache so bad I could hardly keep my eyes open, but I found it. And the next day I hit him over the head with it like it was a sledgehammer, and it was case over. Verdict was $1 million.
Preparation meeting opportunity.
Yeah. I found it. The last thing I looked at. If I'd have stopped working 10 minutes sooner, I would not have found this. And it was just something in a medical record that was kind of the linchpin to our case. So, you know, I'm willing to pay that price. Larry Kelly and everybody at LGKG, we're willing to pay that price. But it doesn't guarantee results. All I can guarantee you is you're going to get everything we have. That's all I ever asked of my players. Give me your best effort. Be mentally tough. Be laser focused. Let's not make mental mistakes. And whatever the results are, they are. You know, and when it's over, and win or lose, you walk across the field or you walk across the courtroom and you shake the hand of the people that were just victorious and you tell them, good job, nice game.
Nice game.
You don't say I was cheated. You don't say the other guy had the questions. You don't do that stuff.
Unless you're an English soccer manager with the other guy and then a fist fight breaks out.
Yeah, exactly.
Larry Kelly, the law group is Luxembourg, Garber, Kelly, and George, LGKG.com. As always, thank you, sir.
You're my man, Eddie. Thank you for having me.
All right.
Tune in to Beaver County Radio after the Friday night football game for the 35th anniversary season of Falcone's Moon Township Ford Wrap-Up Show. Beaver County Radio's Bruce Fry and Ryan Garazunas will have the scores, standings, and any news from the games. They will also take your phone calls so you can talk about your favorite team. The Falcone's Moon Township Ford Wrap-Up Show is being brought to you by Carver Construction, the St. Barnabas Health System, Beaver County Career and Technology Center, Falcone's Moon Township Ford, the YMCA, the Beaver Falls Municipal Authority, Patriot Home Care, Keystone Wellness Program, Fry Transportation Group, Freedom United Federal Credit Union, the Community College of Beaver County, Friendly Federal Credit Union, Fat Boy Cigars, Geneva College, and Beaver County Radio.
Here's Dale Reckless from MRS Physical Therapy as he explains the importance of pre-sports testing to help